By 1991, Tetris had taken the world by storm. This falling block puzzle game was a mainstay at home, at the arcade, or on the go. Its dominance was called into question, however, by developer Kazunari Yonemitsu, who worked for games publisher Compile. Yonemitsu felt that Tetris and other imitators were missing one key ingredient: silly anime characters. And so, he developed a new game system called Puyo Puyo that would feature a colorful cast. These characters were lifted directly from Compile's RPG Mado Monogatari, a fantasy cast with names like Arl and Carbuncle. Now, instead of fighting with magic, they would fight by arranging colorful blobs into patterns on a vertical grid. The game hit computers and the Famicom in Japan in '91, but the silly anime characters were seemingly deemed too anime and too silly for American audiences. As a compromise, North America got two separate reskins: Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine in '93 and Kirby's Avalanche in '95. Depending on where you grew up in the world and what home console you owned, you may have had very different ideas of this franchise, perhaps without ever realizing that underneath the aesthetics, they were all the exact same game. Years later, Puyo Puyo has finally braved these American shores as its true self, but today, we're looking back at the start of its journey. Does this once Tetris rival, now Tetris companion, have the same staying power? Let's get puzzling! It's a video game podcast.
Wow!
And there's so much to discuss.
So good.
One of us knows all about them.
That's you.
And the other one's a dunce.
That's me.
You're gonna learn about the very best games with two annoying dorks.
Fatality.
From asteroids to Zelda, from adventure to Zork. We have no life, and we feel no shame. We need your help, 'cause we're bad with games. Welcome to the show. My name is Jonathan.
My name is Will.
And we are
Bad with games.
That's us. Don't you want to say something now?
Do I? What do I want to say?
Sometimes I don't know. Sometimes
I don't know.
you'll say something after that.
Yeah, because I feel like there would just be like an awkward silence if I didn't cut in with something. I wanted to see if what would happen. Like maybe you would keep going if I didn't.
Yeah, I mean that's usually what I would do.
Well, you didn't this time.
Well, I did in a sense. I mean, I didn't do nothing.
Which sense? You didn't?
Not the sixth. Hey, this week on the show we're covering Puyo Puyo, and I apologize right at the top because the name of this game is designed to make microphones unhappy. So if there's too many plosives this episode, it's not our fault. It's because they named this game Puyo Puyo. I'm gonna do my best to Tay-Zonday the mic when I say that name to try to literally soften the blow. Ironically, Puyo Puyo is sort of the Japanese onomatopoeia for when something's soft, right? That's my understanding.
That would make sense. I thought it might be. We'll talk about this at a certain point here. I mean, I guess I could bring it up now, but
yeah, because Kirby sometimes says Poyo. He goes like Poyo, and I think it's because he's like squishy.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of odd that they have onomatopoeia for things that aren't sounds. It's a strange place over there.
I feel like it could be for a sound. I feel like if you were reading a manga and somebody's like squeezing a pillow, it might say Puyo Puyo next to
Right. I mean, the thing is, that's not actually a sound it would make. And also sometimes they do just have sounds for things that are not sounds. It's weird.
Yeah.
They're weird. I don't know what a strange folk, you know?
Yeah, maybe it wouldn't be a sound. Maybe I would think that's a sound effect, but it's just like it's just so you know it's soft.
Yeah, like it is a sound effect. It's just not real.
Right. It's not like, oh, you think a cat meow sounds different in your country. Like, we don't have a word for what is it when you touch something soft.
Right. Yeah, it turns out being soft actually makes you very likely to not make sound when you're touched.
We'd probably just say squish, squish or something.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I guess if squish is onomatopoeia, I don't think it's a sound. I
Is
think it
it?
has to
Yeah.
do with the mouthfeel of the word. It's one of those
Mm.
like Kiki and Bobo things or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. If you're joining us for the first time, let me fill you in because if you want to, you can find us on YouTube at Bad with Games to watch us playing Puyo Puyo this week. Or you can listen to us wherever you get your audio podcasts as well. And on Patreon at patreon.com/badwithgames for more bonus content. We additionally have a secondary channel at Worse with Games where you can go to find lots of fun stuff like song parody videos and bonus gameplay videos. Recently, we pushed the Donkey Kong Country playthrough and a Quake playthrough that the two of us did. So go there to get more gaming goodness. And now on with the show.
I think it's badness, isn't it? Because of the name of the show, right?
I played video games with my niece and nephew this week,
Oh, that's cool.
which was sort of fun.
Uh-huh.
We broke out we played some Super Nintendo games with my 7-year-old nephew and my 9-year-old niece. And my nephew played Super Metroid. These kids are very bad at video games. They don't play them. They do play them sometimes, but they're like Roblox kids. They're like little
Right.
dummies. And they
I
don't.
mean, you could probably like you make games in Roblox, right? There's probably a Metroid in I guess it probably sucks.
Yeah, but like they're on like tablets and shit. So it's just different from
Mm.
like a real controller. I don't think they quite get it.
Your sister should not allow her kids to play Roblox, I think.
I agree. Oh, I agree. No kids should play Roblox. It's terrible.
No,
It's-
it shouldn't exist.
These kids aren't being raised correctly.
Be sure to tell
Yeah.
her that next time you see her.
I will, but he played Super Metroid, was having a pretty good time. That was kind of fun. Got through a little bit of it. And what else? Played a little Street Fighter. I taught him how to do a fireball, reuse fireball, the only move that I could remember how to do in Street Fighter 2. So he executed it a few times.
Nice.
We played
Pretty good.
I played Super Mario Kart with my niece, and she literally would just go straight into every turn, hit the wall, and then spend 5 minutes turning.
Yep.
So that didn't go well.
Yep. Nope. That's just how racing games are when you're a kid and you haven't figured it out yet.
But I was younger than these kids when I was playing Mario Kart. Well, maybe not younger, same age, 7.
Yeah, but no, you forget. Like that's the thing, right? Like there is a difference in like the first time you ever pick up these games. Like this is a thing that I've said before. Like you think you were better at games as a kid than you were because you are remembering like the entire span of time you were playing and you're remembering it from the perspective of a kid. If you were actually looking at your initial ability to game as a kid, as an adult, you probably would not think you were as good as you were.
Prove it.
I mean,
That's what I thought. That's what I thought.
I can actually. I mean, it's hard to prove it, but I can give you some pretty good evidence, which is that I said it.
Huh.
Remember, my assertion is that that's what I think.
Huh.
And I think you can trust that that is what I think.
I can't prove that either, though.
No, I mean, you can't prove anything.
No. Anyway, it's kind of fun to play
nice.
games to show kids games. I don't know.
I was pretty sure you were gearing up to tell me that they were better than me and that I should give up because I'll never be as good as a 7-year-old.
Well, like I said, we haven't played Super Metroid yet, so I did want to. I was gauging how long it took him, and I was like, I'll keep this in mind.
Oh yeah, okay. This wasn't the right because it's on the SNES. Right. Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. But we did do some Street Fighter.
We did, and I mean, I was bad at that too, so I can't really judge on that one. Oh, we also played Donkey Kong Country 2. For some reason, that's the one he picked, even though the first game was also there, and he bounced off that pretty quick. He was like, Having a little bit of fun for on like the first level, and then we kept dying, and he was like, let's play something else. Anyway, all right, that's enough of that nonsense. Let's get into the actual show. Puyo Puyo, it's time to learn our lore. Learn the lore. Puyo Puyo, a puzzle game from developer Compile that originally was released on the MSX2 home computer system, as well as the Famicom in Japan. We played the Mega Drive or Genesis version. This game initially released only in Japan. It's a puzzle game similar to most other Tetris style puzzle games you've seen, in that there are sort of blocks falling from the top and you need to match them up and clear them. And if they get too high, you lose. But in this case, there are different colors of bits of blocks. They're more like blobs in this game. And if you connect 4 or more of the same color, they disappear. And you can also form chains by if once they disappear, other ones may fall from above. And if that creates additional matches, you'll get more points and you will send more garbage blocks. I don't know what they call them in Puyo Puyo, but that's, generically the term, over to your opponent to fill their screen and mess them up. Now, to my mind, this is kind of if there's another game, a puzzle game after Tetris, it's Puyo Puyo. Like it's a distant number 2, but it's number 2 in terms of, I don't even know in terms of what, popularity, being iconic, being like mainstream, like awareness. Just, I mean, I don't know what else would come first.
Cultural ubiquity. Yeah, I don't know. I would have to think about it. I guess it does depend on exactly what you're calling a puzzle game as well.
Thinking of the
'cause, like,
traditional block
yeah.
puzzle game. Yeah.
Well, so you're thinking specifically like falling things and not, because I am thinking about, like, there is stuff like Minesweeper, which has a lot of cultural penetration
Yeah, I
through
would
like
not.
sheer force of bundled with every computer.
I
That
call that a
to
different. I'm not
me,
thinking of that as the same category,
interesting.
but
Okay, because to me, I would call that still a puzzle game, just like not a falling blocks puzzle game. Like
yeah, I
that would be a
mean,
subgenre for
the
me.
the term puzzle for video games, I do think, has come
Hmm.
to basically mean blocks falling.
Interesting. Interesting. So what would you call Minesweeper then? Because there's nothing to that game other than trying to like solve something.
I'd probably also call it a puzzle game. I just feel like there's an asterisk, not that kind. it's
Hmm.
like it's like how people say, "Oh, Zelda's an adventure game," but Monkey Island is a capital A adventure game. Like there's just a
I see.
different
I
meaning
see.
to it.
So no, that makes a lot of sense to me. Like I get that, the idea that for whatever reason, adventure game, it's a homonym, right? Like it's not like there
Mm,
are two kinds. It's that the word adventure game, the phrase adventure game can mean two things. Uh,
yes.
and in
Yeah.
fact, one can nest within the other. That makes sense. I can get behind that.
A few other ones maybe people throw out: Bejeweled,
Hmm.
uh, Candy Crush. I feel like, and if it's not
Yeah.
falling
Can't.
blocks, but
Okay. Yeah.
Peggle sort of in the same kind of genre as well. People, I don't know, people can write emails and comments and fight about what a puzzle game is if they want. But okay, with all that setup being established, is this something that you personally had heard of or played before this week?
Yeah, so Puyo Puyo is a game or a franchise or style. I guess this is something that I'm still not quite sure of. It feels like Puyo Puyo is a franchise, but it might be a style. Like if you made a Puyo Puyo clone, would you call that something, or like maybe, like, isn't there like Puyo Puyo Tetris, which is when the you get like the garbage blocks or something, which feels like it has nothing to do with it, and it's like the Puyo Puyo now just means, like, I don't quite know. I know what this is. I know it's different elements. I've seen it played a lot. In terms of actually playing it myself, I've never done it before. Um in terms of like the falling things, and then I've played games where you have to match up colors, but I don't think I've played any with these specific mechanics, and certainly not with the garbage blocks added in. um so yeah, long story short, I sort of know about it, and I kind of know what it is, and I kind of knew what to expect, but not not really.
Did you ever play Dr. Mario? That would be
I did not.
okay. That's fairly similar in its mechanics. Um, yeah, I mean, Puyo Puyo Tetris is a combo game that's just you play Puyo Puyo and you play
Ah,
Tetris. It's
okay. So
not.
there's, yeah, I see. So it's, well, both of them.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would say Puyo Puyo is not quite a genre unless you're making a game that's just clearly a knockoff of it. Then you might call it that, but it's not like a
Hmm.
generally it just refers to the specific franchise. Generally it's specific. And I mean, a part of this is, we on the show in season 1 we played OG Tetris.
Hmm.
Modern Tetris games added garbage blocks, but in the versions that we played, that wasn't a thing. So I maybe Puyo Puyo added it first. I don't really know the history of that exactly how that all lines up, but that did become a generic thing. For my that
It's,
and that
yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
Well, I realized I should probably wait, but it does feel like it fits Puyo Puyo better. I really have my doubts about garbage blocks in Tetris being good. But we'll discuss that as we discuss garbage blocks here.
Yeah, I mean, sure, okay, we can dig into that at some point, I guess. Um, uh, anyway, my Puyo Puyo Tetris is basically for me. That's my lore. That's my way into this franchise. Not one that I played at any point. Really, it wasn't something I was into until that came out on the Switch. I played it and had a good time. Enjoyed that game. There's a Puyo Puyo Tetris 2 now. That's a pretty good package in general. If you're like, I want a Tetris game or a Puyo Puyo game, one of those will fulfill you. It has lots of modes. There's a story mode. There's multiple multiplayer modes, online play, all that stuff. So that's where I have played this before. This was my first time experiencing any of these OG versions of it, which there's multiple versions. And I'll say that now. This is kind of a surprise bundle episode because even though it's just called Puyo Puyo, in America there are two other versions of Puyo Puyo that were released here long before we got any game that was actually. I'm not sure what our first game was that was called Puyo Puyo. Might not have been until like I don't even know that the 2000s maybe might have been the first time that actually happened. But in America, there was on the Genesis Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, which was based on characters from the Sonic cartoon.
A
And
phrase I had heard before, by the way, in terms of lore, but I
okay,
don't know
yeah.
that I knew it was a Puyo Puyo clone. I mean, I didn't know that. I'm not even sure I knew it was like a puzzle game. I had just heard that phrase.
Yeah, Sega likes to put that in every Sega compilation ever released. That
Mhm.
shows up. They're like, I don't know, if people will be excited about this, won't they?
Why
It's
not?
a
Just
Sonic
probably,
game.
yeah. No, it just probably takes up like fucking 5 kilobytes of space. Shove it in there. Who cares?
Yeah, yeah. And the other one is Kirby's Avalanche on the Super Nintendo. And so both of those have a different theme and a different skin, but they are, for all intents and purposes, the exact same game as the original Puyo Puyo. So we're gonna kind of talk about all of these. There's also Puyo Puyo Tsu or Puyo Puyo
Zoo.
2, which came a little later and very similar, but I wanted to throw it in for some discussion for reasons that we'll get to.
Mm.
So that's kind of the angle of today's show is we're kind of doing. It sounds like we're covering 4 games, but for the most part, it's really one game. They're all
Hmm.
very, very similar. I mean, 3 of them are the exact same game, just with a different skin. And so that's just kind of how it is because that's how. And by the way, Kirby's Avalanche, weird note, the only Kirby game that was never released in Japan.
Huh.
Only North America and Europe got it. I guess they were like, it's just
Yeah.
redundant over
Yeah, I mean, I
there.
guess if it's a reskin for Western audiences, yeah, I can see it.
But it did come out a few years later and on a different console, and Japan loves Kirby, so you'd
Yeah.
think, like, why not just do it? It's not like there's never been a port of a game that was the same game before. Like, it happens
Maybe
all the time.
I wonder if there could have been some kind of rights issue in Japan that didn't exist outside of Japan.
Who knows? All right. Anyway, so that's our lore. A novice and somewhat familiarity to the Puyo Puyo system. Before we talk about the game proper, we, as you just heard, have a whole bunch of box arts that we need to break down. Box art breakdown. We're breaking it down. Now, I don't know if we I don't know if we how much we need to really go in depth on all of these. It might take us a while, but we could start with the OG Puyo Puyo box art on the Mega Drive, which features the main character Arl. Not sure actually how you're supposed to pronounce her name.
Yeah, Arla, Adada. I don't know.
Okay, all right, it's enough of that.
I can look it
But
up.
these characters actually, as I said in the intro, lifted from an RPG franchise that the publisher had made previously. So it's kind of a spin-off of that franchise, but I think most people now know those characters from Puyo Puyo. That's like where they're most associated with.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about this, and that's I did kind of feel like we should probably start with Puyo Puyo and Puyo Puyo 2.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that, these other ones are just gonna be like a Kirby cover and a Sonic cover, effectively. Um, so yeah, one thing that really differentiates the Japanese versions is that they have like a wholly, to me, unique cast of characters rather than just saying, "Oh, hey, here's some Curbs. Oh, here, hey, here's some like Sonic themed robots." Um, and I did not know until looking it up right before this that they were not Puyo Puyo originals, right? I was just like, wow, this is a crazy cast of characters from this. But yeah, they come from this RPG, and I kind of want to figure out how I feel about that because that is important to how I feel about the game is like to what degree do I want to say like if I see a Kirby in this game, I'm going to be like, yeah, that's nice and all, but really that's points for Kirby. That's not points for Puyo Puyo. So, should I be giving points to this old RPG or should I say no, these are basically completely reimagined as Puyo Puyo characters now? So, you're saying like nobody knows what the hell this RPG is, but people do know these characters, like they
I
keep
mean,
showing up throughout the franchise?
yeah, certainly not in America. I don't know how popular this game is in Japan. There's a few of them. It's a series.
Mhm.
There are multiple of them. So I guess it's had to be somewhat popular, but I don't know. I don't know if it's ever even gotten a release in America. I don't think that it has. I think it's just mainly over in Japan. So uh, yeah, I don't know. I don't know
Mhm.
that anybody cares about it here. And like I said,
Okay.
there's way more Puyo Puyo games with these characters than there are games
Okay.
with those in that series.
Yeah, I mean that really was the question here. Like these characters keep showing up. It's not
Yeah.
like okay, later Puyo Puyos they just don't worry
Yeah,
about like
Puyo
maybe the
Puyo,
slimes still are
Tetris,
here,
you
but
have the fish guy, they're all there.
okay,
They
okay,
they show up.
okay.
Possibly with some
Um,
new ones, I don't remember.
so I mean these are like just kind of generic anime covers, right? I don't know that they particularly stand out to me much against a sea of generic anime characters, which is kind of a shame because I must say, in the games themselves, I do quite like these characters and designs. Um, I do feel like maybe like I'm not saying that they're bad, but to me, in some sense, they fail to capture the charm of the game, not because they have no charm, but because they just have generic charm. I don't know. I don't know if you agree with that or not.
Yeah, I mean, they're not exactly. it's just it's basically how much do you like these character designs, and here's a bunch of characters on the box. Or in the case of the first game,
Mhm.
just one character really with a
Mhm.
I think that's the weird thing about them is mainly what you're looking at in the game is the Puyo Puyo guys,
Mhm.
the little balls. Which I don't know. I would call them the Puyo Puyos. Maybe they're not. I think that's what they're or just Puyos. I think that's what they're called. I
That
think that's
that
them.
makes sense if that's what they're called.
I could be wrong. But you don't like they're not front and center. You're not seeing them highlighted. And I feel like that's what I would do. You're kind of seeing these box arts and you aren't really being told this is a puzzle game unless you look at the back and maybe there's screenshots on it,
Mhm.
which is maybe what they want. And maybe people, I don't know, maybe it would be boring but it's not like Tetris where it's just blocks. These things have little faces.
Mhm.
They should be falling and someone should be trying to stop them or something.
Yeah.
So,
No,
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
I don't mind showcasing all the characters on here. It's just like I feel like I could look past this box art and not realize that these were the characters from Puyo Puyo, even if I knew them. It just looks like anime stuff,
It looks
right?
like
Like
a
it's not.
thousand other. You're in the
Yeah,
manga section, and it's every book.
right. This is your 14-year-old friend who's like, I'm gonna make a web comic. Here's my character, and you're like, oh,
Which is weird because I actually think many of the characters in the games are very unique and identifiable.
yeah,
Like I said, that fish guy I love,
hmm,
or like there's a skeleton and a guy with a big foot.
yeah.
None of those guys are on the cover. They
The strange blob thing with glasses. Yeah, I like all of these guys. And you know what? I even like the Arla character design as she is depicted in the game sprite-wise. Like there's like even in the like less unique character depicted here, it just I don't know. It feels too like committee made. Like we just got to make it look like everything else or nobody will want it type of thing.
yeah, it's what it is. Between the two Japanese ones, I do like the first one better.
Mhm.
It's cleaner and I don't know something about the art style. It has the look of like, oh, this looks like an old school manga. It's kind of fun in
Yeah,
that way.
agreed fully. It is
And you see
definitely the
more of
better of the two.
the Puyo guys are highlighted
You
more.
do.
All right, then we've got what you would have seen in the U.S. Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine and Kirby's Avalanche. And Dr. Robotnik has a big old Dr. Robotnik on the cover, instructing his peons to operate his
They
bean machine.
Yeah, okay, so maybe this will shed some light because I read the manual to read what was happening in this game and I completely forgot it. So instead of Puyos, he's making beans or
Beans.
something? And
There's
you have to
yeah.
well, like what's happening? What are
there
these
is
things?
there is a race of bean people in this
Okay.
world, and his machine makes them mean. He's basically roboticizing them, I believe, is what
Okay.
the scenario is.
Okay.
So he's sending them to you, and when in this universe, when you clear the Puyos, you're freeing the beans from captivity.
Okay. Okay, I see. That makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, I see Grounder and Scratch and the monkey here. These are characters from the show, actually, not the games. I mean,
Yes,
Grounder's from the games, but
this is the I believe only Sonic game that uses designs from the cartoon. And then Kirby's Avalanche is just a cute little Kirby dancing, and there's a D to D, and there are Puyos falling. This is actually really
yeah.
the only one of any of these box arts that kind of gives you an idea of the gameplay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is funny because, like, the Robotnik thing is a little strange to me. It does kind of feel like they're like, I don't know, Sonic's the friend. Like, if we got there's a Nintendo one and a Sega one, and Sonic's the Sega thing, so we'll just do that. I like it's weird and I don't get it. Kirby it fits in perfectly, right? There's weird cute little things and you have to have a fight by stacking them or something because we're not really fighting cuz it's Kirby. I don't know. That make You know what? It's fine. It makes sense. I get it. Like
Yeah.
that's basically what a Kirby game is. And so yeah, I've Kirby and DDD on here and Slimes that it fits it feels like it fits the aesthetic. Now this actually, though, I'm looking at it, this DDD, does he not look like baby DDD? Like maybe this is DDD as a kid. This does not look like adult DDD.
I
What's
think he
wrong
just
with
looks a
him?
little softer. He's just a little.
Mm,
He looks a little nicer.
a little more neotinous.
Don't ever say that again.
Remember you learned that word for grass?
I'm not ever gonna learn it. I don't know it. I do appreciate that the Robotnik box art in the corner says puzzle game. So
Mm,
that's their
so you know.
that's them trying to avoid the inevitable refunds from kids who got this game for Christmas and
Yeah.
they're like, "What the fuck is this?"
What are we doing here? Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I can listen, it is helpful as the retail guy behind the counter to be able to point to it and say, "You can't tell me you didn't know. It says right here. Sorry, no refunds. Get the fuck out. No complaints. You were
And
warned."
these games, I mean, it's strange that Mean Bean Machine comes out a few years before Kirby's Avalanche, but
Mm,
just such a weird thing that this game got licensed in the US to two different IPs and from competing companies. Like, were they aware? I mean, I guess Nintendo had to be aware because it would have been out already. So it's just such an odd thing that I don't feel like has ever happened before.
yeah.
That it's like if there was a Sonic and Mario version of Tetris that came out and not the original Tetris. I don't know. It's odd.
Yeah. You know what I don't like about this? The layout of this mean bean machine thing here. So the
What?
beans are on a conveyor belt. They go
Yeah.
through a machine. They come out the other side. Presumably, it's like weighing them or something. I don't know. But they come out the other side. They're still beans. Then they go into another machine. They come out the other side and they're robots. But the edge of that machine is the edge of the box art. So it kind of just like it's easy. Your eye is drawn away from those robots, and it kind of looks like he's just sending them through a machine to turn them into beans. Like they're beans, and then they're still beans. Like it doesn't read as though they're being turned into robots. It feels like you have to. I don't know. I think this layout is not great.
Yeah. Well, that's how he'd made the machine. So
Yeah, I just feel like the artist could have framed his machine differently.
the
I mean, I
robots
guess
do
they
wrap
do.
around in the front. Yeah.
Yeah, they do, but like I don't know. There's not like an easy continuity. It's not like you can't figure it out, but it is like you have to look at it to figure it out. It's not like the eye is immediately drawn to the change, which like I would have centered that.
Yeah. I didn't really notice that there were robots until you said it.
I don't blame you.
So I guess your point is proven. Like, oh yeah, those are. Oh yeah, they're showing it. Oh yeah, thought it was a bunch of beans. They're just making them mean. All
Yeah.
right, are we done with the
No,
box art?
we're done with the box art.
Thank God. You know what? 30 minutes in, let's start the show. Press start to play. Puyo Puyo, even like you said, you've seen this game before, but even if you hadn't, if you've played Tetris, you've seen like a Bejeweled, any match 3 kind of game, you probably it doesn't take too much for you to wrap your head around the general idea of what's happening here. Is that true?
Yes. The general idea of what's happening, yes. Now that being said, a large like I found, or at least I think I found, I'm pretty sure I found that I am like very bad at this game, it seems. Um the idea of stacking the blocks, like the idea of what I'm supposed to do, stack the blocks and stack them up so they match, not too difficult. But the idea of like, what is a good placement? Like, where should I place this such that, because I don't know when I'm going to get matching colors. And I don't know, like, how do I not bury all of my colors? How do I keep things open? How do I set up future things? Was something that took a decent amount of thought and work because it was just not a way that I'd really been like I knew basically what I was supposed to do, but like the actual like, okay, what do I do in order to do that was a lot harder because it was newer to me. Like I've never thought about that before. I've seen these games played, but it's always just like, oh, I guess put it there now. But like, okay, but what if you yeah, put it there because it matches. Okay, but what if you don't have a match yet? How do you set that up? And this game really wants you to do these chains, right? These ideas of so these blocks kind of have gravity, right? Like in Tetris, if you like set up a block on an overhang, it just overhangs. Here, if you set up your two Puyos on an overhang, one of them will drop all the way down. Um,
Yeah, we should
so
explain if anyone's not watching the video and doesn't
yeah, yeah,
know.
yeah.
Basically, each Puyo that comes to you is just two Puyos together. That's the only shape. It's not
Hmm.
like Tetris where there's a T and an L. It's just
Right,
two Puyos, and they're usually two different colors. There's like 4 or 5 colors they can be, but sometimes they are the same color, and you can rotate
right.
them however you want. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And like I said, those sets of two can split and drop down. And in unlike again in Tetris, the whole thing drops down a line when you clear a line, but here, anytime you clear any block or any puyo, the entire column falls down. Um, they have gravity. And so, like, it was just a very different thing for me to kind of wrap my head around, and so oh, yeah, so that's what I was getting on was the chains. They really want you to do chains, which is when, you match 4, and because those disappeared, the blocks above them fall down, and because they fell down, another match happened, and so the blocks above them fall down, and so on. So, because setting up these chains is how you send a lot of garbage blocks over to your opponent, which are like little worthless slimes that come in that block your ability to match, and they don't go away until you match stuff around them. Um, so, in addition to being like, okay, I have to figure out how to set things up so that I'll have a nice board for whatever happens. Um, I also kind of don't wanna do that. Like, I don't wanna be matching 4, because if I'm just matching 4, I'm not sending garbage blocks to my opponent. I want to actively not match 4 in order to set up matches of 4
Yeah.
later, except that also in the middle of all of that, while you're thinking about what to do, and you're like, "Hold on, this is brand new. I'm trying to wrap my head around this. Oh, wait, a layer of garbage blocks came down, and I can't interact with any of the things that I was thinking about. Everything I thought about is worthless now. I need to start from scratch. Okay, let's try to figure this out again. Oh, wait, no, now everything I was thinking about was completely worthless because it all got blocked off because I spent too long thinking about it." Right? It felt very punishing to try to figure out. And I also felt like the game, there wasn't a lot in terms of, for me, it felt like most ways that I tried to play were either so ridiculously easy that they were kind of boring and I wasn't able to get a good feel for like what a complicated board state might look like, or they were overwhelmingly impossible. And so it felt very unlike in Tetris where you have a lot of ability to be like, oh, well, there's level 2 speed, which is a little faster, and level 3, which is a little faster, all the way up to level 18, and you can choose whatever one you start on. And if you wanted to, you could do a block clear thing instead. So, like, I could go over here, like, I could start on whatever level I want to and be on that speed to like get used to that speed. I could go a little faster than I'm comfortable with to try to get used to speed. I could go a little slower to try to get used to building patterns. I can try to put these together. Oh, I can go to this thing where it's like we put in random garbage and you have to clear out the garbage. I could do that at 1 line. I could do that at 10 lines. I could do that at speed 1. I could do that at speed, 18. There was a lot of ability to kind of put yourself right where you needed to be. And for me, it felt like there was a large gulf between, yeah, 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 I get the basic premise, but how do I do it? And okay, I can't, there's too much happening. I'm overwhelmed and I can't focus. So I felt like I had a lot of trouble with playing this game. It felt like I was not very good at it, and or there was a difficult learning curve. One way, whatever the explanation, it felt like it was hard to find a place where I was comfortable playing.
I was really hoping that you might be a Puyo Puyo savant.
Hmm.
Because I'm also not very good at Puyo Puyo,
Hmm. I bet
and
you're a lot better than me.
I mean, probably, but probably not that
If you
much better.
if you've played before, you probably are, I
Well,
think.
here's the thing. I don't think people will like if anyone's good at this game. I don't think you're gonna like watching me play it this week. So probably not you either. But I, when I played Puyo Puyo Tetris, which
Mhm.
really was a long time ago. It was, I think that was like a launch Switch game or close to it. So I haven't really put time into that for like 6 to 8 years at this point.
Hmm.
Um, I got good enough at it that I could beat like my friends in multiplayer because none of them had played Puyo Puyo that much. So I
Hmm.
was like good enough to do that. And like, I made my way through most of the story and stuff like that. But the way that it worked, it would be like, you would kind of alternate. There's a Tetris match, there's a Puyo Puyo match. Sometimes you're doing Tetris and the other person's doing Puyo Puyo and they mix it up like that. And almost any time there was a Puyo Puyo, I was like, oh boy, this
Hmm.
is going to be hard. This one's going to take
Hmm.
me a minute to figure it out. And, that game, the newer games even come with tutorials that will help try to teach you. Here are some common things that you want to set
Hmm.
up. For instance, one of the most basic ones that they'll tell you to start with is this pattern called stairs, which is
Yeah.
essentially you make like columns that are like 3 green with a purple on top. And then the next column is 3 purple with a red on top. And the next column is 3 red with a yellow on top. And the idea is that eventually, once you trigger that first one to go off, then like 3 or 4 different columns will all fall right
Hmm.
in a row and go off.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, did not get that far. This is also part of the issue is that I like in Tetris it's pretty easy for me to be like, yes, I know I'm trying to find the eye piece so that I can hit a Tetris and that's just like whatever. I get that very quickly. Whereas here I often did find that I was like I am not like I don't quite know what I should even be doing. Like it took me a while to start being like, well, instead of just kind of putting like things together and trying to react to the patterns as they come, maybe I should try just like stacking things vertically. Like when I started off with this, I was just like if I'm playing against the CPU, I am getting locked out of being able to play before I can even match 4 because I'm trying to figure out like oh, I accidentally blocked myself off. Oh, I put this in the wrong column and then things dropped down. Oh, everything's covered up now. And then that happened like 5 times. Right. So, like the idea, like I had to, with Tetris, I at least had an idea of what I should be doing. And with this, I just had no idea what I should be doing. And it really punishes you for having no idea.
I mean, on a basic level, even if you're not like stairs is the most basic sort of combo. But even if you're not doing anything that fancy, it's kind of I think you said it before. It's basically just okay, there's 3 blues. Well,
Hmm.
now if I get like a green blue, just make sure no blues touch that. And then later on, I'll trigger the greens and then the blue will fall. Like that's the most basic where I
Yeah.
feel like it's not that hard to at least get a chain of 2 if you're going for that. It's really the 3 or more that
Hmm.
becomes
Yeah.
tricky and
Okay,
yeah.
well, you're way better than me. You are way better than me because for
Okay.
me, a chain of 2 was one of those things where if I tried to set it up, 80% of the time plus, if I tried to set it up, I would get blocked off with garbage blocks before I could pay it off. And so I kind of got to a point where I was like, just get one blob before. If you can get a blob before, do it right now. Do not ever avoid a chance to do it because you will get cut off and you will not be able to get it. Right? Was what I was taught trying to play this game.
Even on like,
Trying
like the first levels, like the
on
opening
I
and
I
whatever's,
couldn't I could not beat level 2 of the tutorial on normal difficulty. It was not only couldn't I do it, it wasn't even close. Total shutout.
which I don't even remember because there's all these games. I don't remember which mode is in what. Like I think I mainly did the quote unquote campaign or scenario mode or whatever, which I guess is the same in all of them, but there's like
I'm
different
pretty sure
characters.
it feels like it's about the same difficulty wise.
For me, I think it was like level 3 got a lot harder. I think level 6 was like my hard limit. I couldn't beat the 6th guy in any of the
In
modes.
what stage 1 or tutorial?
Stage, like the story mode, like stage one, when you start at stage one
Okay.
and go through each character.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. No, yeah, because that's what it is. There's like tutorial with 3 characters, then there's a stage 1 with a series of characters, and a stage 2 with a series of characters. Yeah.
But I think,
And the
isn't it
stage
just
2
you
is harder.
start at a later stage? I thought.
I'm not
I don't
sure.
know.
Well, maybe that's true. I've never tried it. Well, here's when I went down to easy difficulty, the third guy in stage 2 was impossible to beat. Or in stage 1, right? The third guy was impossible to beat on the easiest
I
difficulty.
never
I
thought
could not
about
do it.
changing the difficulty. That's in the options. You can do that. I never
Yeah,
even did
yeah, yeah,
that.
yeah. No, I really needed a place where I could just like really adjust the speed. Because it feels like the game goes from being, okay, this is level 1 Tetris to, okay, this is level 7 Tetris with a bunch of junk blocking your way in about 3 pieces falling. So you end up in this position where you're like, okay, something's happening, oh wait, I'm dead. Right, and I just don't like it's an insane difficulty jump for me. Like there's no I really need to be able to play around on like level 2, right, for a while, and it's just not like a thing.
Yeah, I think some of this depends on which versions of the game you're playing. I think even, I don't know, there's even some other ports of the same Puyo Puyo game where I know some of them have modes that are sort of more like the like puzzle modes where you
Mhm.
have a screen you need to clear, and I don't know if any of the ones we played had that in
There
it.
there was yeah, I couldn't tell because there were a bunch of options
For
on the
anyone,
2, but
yeah,
yeah, that was in Japanese and I couldn't
right,
read it.
right.
But yes, on all 3 of the other games, there was a practice mode, which basically just gave you a clear board and it never gave you practice blocks. But it did do the same thing. Like, it was giving me so few drops that it was like, okay, I can kind of do whatever and it's boring and there's no challenge here to, oh my God, like they just quadrupled the speed out of nowhere and I can't even react. Like I can't even put them in the place where I want them to be. Like I try to tap them over and I accidentally tap one too many because I don't have the reaction time to deal with these things coming down. And I just like couldn't be in a place where I could do that. Even on practice mode on like there was just like it legitimately it was just like triple the speed. Like where is 1.2 times speed, right? What are we doing here?
It does make sense knowing what I know about you that you would be bad at this game. Thinking about it now, um, I had that in Puyo Puyo Tsu. I
Mhm.
felt like that has a campaign mode, and I felt like the jump from level 2 to level 3 in that one was huge. It got so much faster at the third opponent, and I was like, "Whoa, they ramped it up real quick in this one." But yeah, it can happen. I mean, so I think the one of the biggest differences between this and Tetris is that Tetris generally has the solo mode and the multiplayer mode
Mhm.
that are pretty distinct. And in Puyo Puyo, the solo mode is essentially a competitive mode, except that your opponent's an NPC. So
Right.
you're, unlike Tetris, you're not just playing against yourself and playing against the blocks. You are always competing against an opponent. You always have to worry about them trying to kill you.
Right.
More,
I mean, that
yeah,
is a huge difference in mindset also
yeah.
because like that is another thing that was really bogging me down at the start cuz there is in Tetris there is just like listen, just keep your board clear and if you get better, right? If you're feeling very comfortable, you can start trying to do well with your board and make your like I want to set up Tetrises. But if you're having some trouble, then you can just survive. And in this, it feels like there is no survival, right? Like if you are not setting up good boards, you are dead. Because you are not. The goal is not to survive as long as you can. The goal is to do better than your opponent, and that means that if you set up a good board, you can just clear out your opponent very quickly. If you never set up a good board, then even if your opponent is bad, the game will draw out literally forever because nobody is stopping the other person until maybe bit by bit somebody is gone. Right? And so there's definitely this strange mindset difference of like there's no point at which I want to switch over to just survive. Or rather, if I'm at the point of thinking that, it's because my board is so close to topping out that I'm screwed. I might as well
Right.
give up because you're screwed. Which is very difficult when you have no idea what you're trying to set up. Like if the whole time I'm trying to figure out what I need to set up, and I'm like, well, I figured out how to survive. Too bad that's worthless. I don't know how to set things. Like I really did think the garbage blocks were so punishing because I would be in the process of trying to figure something out when it would all be made moot and it just wouldn't matter what I did. And I'd be like, oh, well,
There are so many times when I was like, one garbage block would go just exactly where I wanted to put something right before I was going to put it there, and I was like, fuck.
they basically just spammed avalanches at me. I don't even know. Like the whole game was just like how often do they send one block at you as opposed to four or the entire screen? Because it feels like 50% of the time they send the entire screen.
I don't.
I don't
It's
know
hard
what to
for me
do.
say. Yeah, I think in the early ones it's much more common to be like one or at least early on in the match, and then like over time, yeah, they'll probably send like a line to you. There comes a point when
A line? You'll see.
yeah, I mean, yes, depending on your experience, there comes a point where it's like, okay, I need to just do clear fours and not try to get chains because like I have to get rid of this garbage right now. And that's when, yeah, it can get panicky and it's tough. It's tough. When
As
it's
far
really
as I
filling
can
up.
tell, you need to do that right off the bat. Because as far as I can tell, this is a game. So this is a thing that so this is why I'm a little bit hesitant about the idea of garbage blocks in against a person, right? Against an NPC, even if you're competing, it's kind of fine because it's like, listen, this NPC has a certain difficulty and you're either good enough to do it or you're not, whatever. But against another human being, and I could be totally wrong here because I'm not like good enough at this. I never actually played against another person and I'm not good enough at this game to really suss out the mechanic. But at first blush, it feels like an absolute dog shit mechanic for competition because it feels like what the mechanic is saying is effectively the difficulty of your board is directly proportional to the skill of your opponent. In other words, if your opponent is a little bit better than you, then we're going to give you a board that's a little bit harder and them a board that's a little bit easier. And effectively, what that does is it squares any difference in ability level. If your opponent's a little bit better than you, they're actually a lot more likely to win. If your opponent is quite a bit better than you, you cannot possibly beat them. Like, I find it difficult to imagine matches in this game anywhere between 50% win rate and 95% win rate. Like, it feels like if somebody can win a majority of the time, you're just dead. You're not going to ever win. It also feels like the early game in this against the NPCs, the strategy really is match as many fours as you can right now, because whoever starts putting garbage blocks down first will block their opponent from being able to match, and then their opponent won't be able to put down garbage blocks because they won't be able to match. So then you're just home free. It feels like whoever gets out ahead first wins. Now, maybe this is entirely wrong. I have ideas on how there could be like comeback strategies in this, but I don't know. It was very much a feel bad. Every time anything happened, I was just like, oh well. I don't think across any game I played, including the ones I won, a person who was behind ever won. Like if I had like 4 rows and my opponent had 3 rows, they won every time. If I had 3 rows and my opponent had 4 rows, I won every time. Right? I don't think it ever reversed. Maybe that's not true. It was hard for me to pay attention to my opponent because I'm trying to look at a lot of things, but it does feel very much like it feels like it's fine if you're trying to do a benchmark for difficulty, but if that is the way that it works in competition, that is like antithetical to what makes competition fun to me. Maybe I could be wrong about this. I don't know. I will fully admit I'm not good enough to suss this out. This is just my initial impression.
So I think you are both right and wrong.
Okay.
To put it in perspective, first of all, just know that virtually every competitive Puyo Puyo and Tetris mode in every one of these games that exists revolves around the sending of garbage blocks. Like that's how they
Well,
have been for all time.
I
Yeah.
will tell you, competitive Tetris runs on NES version, not on Puyo Puyo.
Okay. Well,
Like high level competitive Tetris does NES stuff and not garbage blocks.
I'm sure some of them do, whatever, but like I don't care about that. Competitive Smash also runs on no items in Final Destination, whatever. I don't care. If you pick up any of these puzzle games, that's what the
Yeah,
multiplayer mode is going to be.
sure. I mean, I guess but like that.
Yeah. That's just my
Yeah,
opening
yeah, yeah.
statement. That's just my
Yeah.
perspective.
Okay. No, it's totally fine if that's the way it is, but I'm hesitant that that doesn't make it worse.
Well, let me go into this. So
Hmm.
part of this is the reason that I included Puyo Puyo 2 this week. And I don't know, this might not be a difference that you even noticed because if you're playing a lot and it's fast and you're just struggling to do whatever, maybe it's hard to even pay attention to this kind of thing. It's maybe subtle. But one difference, one thing that they added in Puyo Puyo 2 that became a permanent change for the rest of the series is the ability to counter garbage blocks. So
Mm.
before garbage gets sent to your screen, and this is true, I'm pretty sure in most competitive Tetris modes as well, you will see a little thing at the top of the screens or somewhere that's like, so oh, my opponent just pulled off a chain, some garbage is about to hit me. And if you are able to pull off I don't know what you'd call it, not it's just a match 4 in that second, it'll like block the garbage and you can reverse it and actually send it back to your opponent.
Hmm.
So it becomes it is true, and this is part of the reason in OG Puyo Puyo people don't go back to it as much, but it was harder to come back, and it was a lot of, well, whoever gets the good combos first is probably going to win. Whereas in modern and later Puyo Puyos, you had more of a counter that you could do. You could react more to what they were doing and go back and forth.
Mm.
I don't
Yeah,
know if
because
yeah.
I had been wondering if maybe because sometimes I found it easier to set up chains if I had garbage blocks, right? Like if I was just like, well, I'm trying to set these up and I don't quite, I'm trying to figure it out, but I got some threes and oh, those threes got covered, and then I covered them with another three of the same, or whatever, and then those got covered. I covered them with another three. That was like actually kind of almost easier to set up these chains through clearing garbage blocks. And I was wondering if maybe there could be some advantage to having them that could offset that. Yeah, I mean, I would have to see how the counterplay works, but I don't fundamentally to me the idea of saying I'm going to give your opponent a harder time if you like a harder board to work with if you do better does feel like a lockout scenario. Like your job is to go aggro and lock your opponent out of the game before they can play rather than having a kind of back and forth.
But what
Um
would the alternative be? You would just
yeah, so in Tetris, I can't speak to Puyo Puyo exactly, but in Tetris, the way that it works is effectively okay. Assume that we're both going to get to the same point in the game before we die, right? Or we're both good enough to get to the same point before we die. But I am ahead in score. So what that means is that gives me an advantage because there's two things I can do. I can play risky by going for Tetrises, building up my blocks and then I go for a Tetris, or I can play safe by just burning off lines so that I don't stack up really high. If I'm ahead and we do everything the same, I always win. What that means is that my opponent has to play risky, whereas because they must always they can never play safe if I'm also playing safe. They will lose. They have to play riskier than me. And that means there might come a point where if you play dangerous, I'm not good enough to do it. But because I'm ahead, can afford to play a little bit safe. My opponent has to go for it and they might get fucked. So by being ahead, you buy yourself the luxury of options in terms of how you want to play the game, as opposed to locking your opponent out of doing anything.
But is it? I don't even know. Is it literally just like two people playing side by side, and whoever's screen fills up first loses? Like,
High
what's
score.
the? Okay, well, okay, sure, okay.
Yeah. So
But
so screen fill up first doesn't lose if they got a lot of Tetrises and the other person's only getting singles.
got it. But it would like end the match, I assume.
It would end their participation in the match. Yes.
Oh, but the other person can
The
keep
match.
playing.
Yeah, the match ends when both people top out.
I don't even know. Is this just two people on two different TVs playing side by side? Are they actually playing against each other?
I think they play on the same TV. They are certainly able to see the other person's score and board, so they can see like, oh, I'm ahead. I can afford to play like this.
But I don't even remember. Like NES Tetris, did it have like a head-to-head mode?
I don't
remember.
know. I do know that there are modifications now to do things like scores can just be like 10 times higher than what the NES is capable of because people are really good. So they do things to, but like it's basically those mechanics.
Yeah, I feel like if I recall, original NES Tetris that we played was just A game and B
Mhm.
game. I don't think there was a two-player mode. So
Yeah,
whatever
there
they're
might.
doing is
Yeah,
their
no,
own
that it is.
thing.
Yeah, it is like modified, but like the actual thing you're playing with is just two games side by side with the same piece RNG.
Got it. I mean that to me is interesting, but it's almost a completely different type of
Mhm,
thing. I mean, another one of the influences that the creator of Puyo Puyo cited was Street Fighter.
mhm,
And it is more like that. It is supposed to be like this is the competitive. We're not just playing side by side. We're not doing the,
mm,
what they call in board games multiplayer solitaire, sometimes derogatorily. We're affecting each other. It matters what
mhm.
we're doing to each other directly.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to that. I do like interfering with your opponent's plans. I guess like to me that's not competition, right? Like when you put two people next to each other, if they are doing if they're doing two different things that are hard to compare, then I feel multiplayer solitaire, but in this case you are both doing the exact same thing. And so the way in which I stack these pieces is different depending on how you stacked your pieces because I want like I need to catch up or I can afford to be safe because I'm ahead, right? If I were playing up by myself, I would not play the same way as I play when I play against you. So to me that does affect it. I think the real issue that I have in Puyo Puyo with the way that you affect your opponent, um a, I don't like that it feels like and the later ones might be better where you can send garbage back. But I don't like that it feels like there's not a good comeback mechanism. Like I don't like the idea of whoever gets out ahead just wins and skill levels are compounded because uh not only is being not only does it make you better, it makes your opponent worse. I also don't like that you don't really choose. I think generally speaking, um like what makes competition interesting to me is often the dynamic and how you like adjust along a gradient to what your opponent is doing. It's not like, oh no, my opponent sent garbage, so now I have to change. It's more like, should I should I delay my own development to hinder my opponent's development, or should I let my opponent do their thing and try to develop myself? Like, do I want to be proactive or reactive? And that is not a binary, it's a spectrum, right? And I have to subtly shift depending on how well I think I'm doing. In Puyo Puyo, you just try to play well, right? Like I'm not trying to affect the way I'm playing based on if I think my opponent is ahead or not. Probably. Maybe that's wrong. A talented player might just tell me, you're completely wrong. You do. Completely changed your entire strategy. You probably do somehow, right? But I have a lot of trouble seeing it. I don't, like, on some fundamental level, there's a lot of stuff about this game that I find very difficult to see.
Not by any means being an expert. My initial guess would be on a simple level. There's setting up, just like you said with Tetris. Like you're either setting up big chains, or if your opponent's like doing well and you see them, then you go, okay, I was setting up. I wanted to get like a crazy 5-6 chain,
Hmm.
but I don't have time to pull it off. I just need to start do like a 2 that I can do right now to
Okay.
stop them.
Okay.
That would be
Yeah,
my thought.
I could see that. I mean, I guess also there is just the issue of like, For me, a lot of times, the things that felt like it felt like the like mid-tier stuff would put a layer over everything and it was an extreme shutdown. And the high tier things, like there were times where I was playing against the NPC and I went and I literally got more lines of garbage on top of all of my stuff than I had lines of stuff. And just topped out immediately from nothing. And I
Yeah.
was all like, if that's the high tier thing that you were trying to set up, there's no, like, that just means you win the game on the spot if you do that. I guess that's fine if it's really hard to do. But, like, the NPC was doing it against me on, like, easy mode. Maybe it was normal. I don't know. I don't know. I just, I find, I can tell you what I like in competitive games, and I can tell you that I find it very difficult to see to that point in this game. I feel like I need someone who is good at this game to, like, tutor me in it.
Yeah, same. What I do think Tetris has over Puyo Puyo in terms of its garbage blocks is because it doesn't matter what color things are. In Tetris,
Mhm.
the balancing is, oh, you sent me a bunch of garbage, but that also means I can figure out a way to clear these blocks and send them back to you. So,
Question. How does
yeah,
that wait, oh, so you send them back when you clear them?
you can yeah, you might need to
Okay.
do higher amounts of blocks. Maybe it might depend on the Tetris, but yes, that is
Okay.
like you can get
Cause
a Tetris that way
I was
theoretically.
gonna say that's still a downside because you get only a certain number of burns before your speed increases, and what ends the game is the speed getting
I
too
don't.
high.
What is a burn? I don't know what that
I
means.
I take out one line, right? Like, I know I could be building up to a Tetris, but I just need to get rid of a line. I need my stack
Uh huh.
shorter.
Okay.
So, like, if you say, like, I need to get this garbage out of here, I'm just going to clear a line, you have now gotten closer to the end of the game. Like, you've used up one of your lines that could have been part of a Tetris, right? And so you've effectively hurt your score by doing this.
I don't understand anything you're saying, and also,
All right. Well, well,
I
it
also
hurts your score to clear those. Is
well,
is the
it sounds fundamentally different, our idea of what multiplayer Tetris is, because the modes that I have played, the score doesn't matter. It's just survive
mm,
until the end. It's just be
does
the one whose
does
screen
it
doesn't fill
speed
up.
up over time or does it not do that? You
Yeah,
just have a speed, huh?
yeah, I would
But
speed up over time.
it speeds up with lines
Usually,
cleared though.
I think that's how it would work. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
because
I
then
said, there's a million
if you
versions, but
yeah, because if you clear, I guess if score doesn't matter, then that doesn't matter. Yeah, then it doesn't matter because then it's the same. Clearing four lines is the same as clearing one line four times because score doesn't matter. Yeah, okay, that doesn't matter then.
I think when you do a Tetris, you do send extra blocks. That's the
Hmm.
advantage of getting a Tetris.
Sure. Okay, that's
But
fine.
like sometimes the blocks might happen to they sent them to you and it's like, oh, they were right above this hole I already had, and like that actually helped me for somehow this time. Like stuff like that can happen. Again, different versions of Tetris handle this differently, and I'm not an expert on all of them.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
don't quote me.
I'm certainly not either.
But yeah, here's my question to you. Divorced from the difficulty of this game and like whatever we feel about the garbage blocks, how do you feel just in general about the gameplay of Puyo Puyo? Just the idea of stacking, matching for, letting them
Mhm.
line up. Like, does that appeal to you inherently?
It is difficult to say because it is wrapped up in all these other things.
Mm.
The idea of trying to stack these up and match four is in some ways appealing. It is kind of fun to try to match up the colors, but a lot of it for me does come down to like I did like I said the first person you fight in the tutorial, the first NPC, it kind of feels like you can do whatever you want and you win every time. And when I play practice mode on easy, the easiest stuff kind of feels like it's so slow and there's so little going on that I can kind of do whatever I want and it's fine. And like what makes a lot of these things exciting is the ability to kind of exist right on the edge of my skill level. Like, I really liked that in Tetris, even if I wasn't very good, I could set the game to a point where I was like, I could set the game to a point where I was like, this is, I'm going full blast. I am right at the edge of what I can do. I could set it to, this is a little bit easier than what I can do. Hard enough that I have to pay a lot of attention, but easy enough that I can play around. I can set it a little bit harder than what I'm used to so that I can say, well, I know I'm not going to be able to do it on this level, but the standard that I was playing at will feel easier after I get used to this kind of speed and reaction time. Like, this is training my brain to think harder. And that is an experience that I was kind of unable to have in Puyo Puyo. The idea of stacking up these blocks does feel inherently like a good one for a puzzle game and matching these colors. But like, the actual experience was hard to capture because of the difficulty for me personally. I don't think these early games do a good job training you how to play. Like, they don't really
Mhm.
teach you what to do. They don't give you an idea of what to do in a way that I might have wanted to see, like, more robustly. And the garbage blocks, to me, the garbage blocks, like, when you describe what you could be doing at high levels of play, they do sound pretty interesting, but they also feel like an extreme, just like, fuck you, you don't get to play, feel bad unless you are good enough to play at a fairly high level without them while also watching your opponent's screen. Which feels like just so unbelievably far beyond where I
Or
am.
you're both, you don't have to both be good. You just have to both be at the same level. You could both be bad,
Yeah, but
right?
you have to be at like the exact, like, unless I am wrong, this will exacerbate any differences. So like, if it can't be like, oh, we have a 60-40 win rate. That doesn't exist. We need a 50-50 win rate. There's no such thing as a 60-40, is what it feels like to me. Especially at a low level where you wouldn't be good enough to like play around and offset that problem.
I mean,
Maybe I'm wrong,
we have to
but
assume that you are wrong, because otherwise, how has this franchise gone on for 30 years? It's like an esport. People play it competitively. Like, it
well,
has to
like I
be.
said, these problems might disappear when you get good enough, and
Mm,
it's also possible that it's possible that A, these problems disappear when you get good enough. B, there are enough people who were just naturally good at this in a way that I wasn't to skip that. And C, later games might have been better at teaching you. These are all
yeah.
options. I could be wrong. I'm totally willing to say I feel like on some fundamental level I don't understand this game yet.
Yeah, I am not very good at this game, but I also feel like I'm at least, I can see where that stuff would come in. I
Mhm.
understand how one would be better and what that would be like I can
Yeah.
with Tetris, which I'm also not great at, but I get what you're supposed to be doing to a
Yeah.
degree.
Yeah. Whereas I'm not on that page. I can understand how that could help, but I can't see it. You know what I mean?
There is, I
Like,
mean, I am more of a fan of Tetris. It's simpler, right? Tetris is just simpler. Of course, there's
mhm.
still strategy, and the better you are at it, you can pull off crazy things, but you don't have, there's no colors. It's just make
Mhm.
lines. That's it. Whereas Puyo Puyo, it really matters. I mean, there's no different shapes, so I guess that in a way removes complexity, but there's many more colors you have to contend with, and how you arrange them and how they fall. To me at least, seems more complicated. I think is more skill intensive. Honestly, I think it requires more, or at least a different kind of skill. You really need to be able to pre-plan and kind of see
Mhm.
the matrix of everything that's
Yeah.
falling and when, and be able to set it up and know, when I trigger this, it will make that fall, which will make that fall, which will make that fall. And when I do pull those off, and a lot of times it's by accident, sometimes my
Mhm.
strategy is just do a bunch of shit, just make a bunch of threes and don't finish them. And sooner or later, oh, something fell
Yeah.
and hey, three and one went off. All right. When that happens, it is really satisfying in a way that I do think can be more satisfying than just a Tetris, like back to back, clear four. I know what that feels like, and it kind of feels the same every time. And there is something to me that's pretty fun about seeing, I don't know exactly how these are all going to fall, but it's kind of like this your own little mini Rube Goldberg machine of whoa, ba-ding, ba-ding, ba-ding. It gives me good brain juice when that does
Yeah.
occur.
Yeah, I feel like that is kind of uh I feel like that really is it when you're saying you have to see the matrix. It is kind of like in Tetris you can be a lot more reactive, right? Like a good player will know what they're trying to build toward at a certain like early, but like you can be a bad player and just place pieces and say, "Oh, I got to put something there. Oh, I got to put that there. Oh, I can't put that there." And but I feel like in here like a bad player can't get away with just saying, "I'll just put some pieces down and try to figure it out as they come." Like
No.
if you aren't already starting to build uh toward your win immediately, you're kind of out of it before you even started, which again is a huge problem for a learning curve. Right.
Yeah.
It's a huge problem because like that is what I'm saying the whole time. Because that is what it is. Because I keep saying like I fundamentally don't get something about this game, and that really is what it is. What would a good board look like? Right. What would it look like? Like, I know what a good Tetris board looks like. A good Tetris board looks like I've got 4 rows and then one line that I can put a piece in and clear. Right. And here, what's a good board look like? I have no idea.
Yeah. And I mean, this is a thing. I did briefly Google some like what are strategies.
Hmm.
I didn't take enough to, like I said, at one point with the Switch game when I was playing it, I was like decent for a beginner at Puyo Puyo. Those skills have been lost to me now, what little
Hmm.
I had. And even reading like, oh right, I remember that stairs thing. I couldn't really do it. Like I
Hmm.
understood it conceptually, but I was like, I don't know how to get the things that I need. But you know, I do think you would have benefited greatly from like playing the Puyo Puyo Tetris, which has an extensive tutorial mode that actually teaches you
Yeah.
that kind of stuff in the game.
Yeah, no, I was a little bit upset that like the first tutorial level was super easy and every time you could match for it would just flash to tell you how to do it. And then the second level just absolutely crushed me with garbage and didn't tell me anything about what I was supposed to be doing. And I was like, what kind of a tutorial is this? This sucks. I'm learning nothing. Um yeah, I it's that this the other problem too is that the speed in this game kind of goes crazy. Right? It gets really like it goes from slow. I guess this is the problem. When it's slow, you must push blocks because your opponent will be pushing blocks and they will be throwing garbage at you. So you must push blocks. And when it's fast, that I often can't react, right? I'm like, okay, wait a second. What am I trying to build? Where are my open slots? I remembered where they used to be, but they aren't there anymore because there's garbage. Let me figure that. Oh, it's too late. It already went down. Or hold on, which button was clockwise and which was counterclockwise? I pressed the wrong one. Oops, it's too late to fix that because it's already at the bottom. Uh, and like you can look ahead at pieces, but like it wasn't enough. It like very quickly the speed would get so high that I just couldn't I would misplace everything. Like it wasn't even that I couldn't build, it was that I couldn't even place pieces where I wanted to put them even if I did know what I was trying to build, which compounded the problem even further.
Yeah, I feel that when your screen gets pretty high, it's like, well,
It's not even
shit.
when it's high. It's when it's low, but they just turn up the speed the pieces drop at. And this is in the tutorial on the easiest difficulty. It's like a complete disaster. It's so inaccessible to me.
I don't know that I noticed. I feel like either I won or lost before
Yeah.
I noticed the
No,
speed increase.
that is probably what it was. You probably were throwing a bunch of garbage at them and then winning and never really got to the point where it went on long enough. Because I think that speed increase is there to tell you end this game. You're not supposed to play this long. Somebody is supposed to have locked out the opponent by now.
Yeah, I felt it more when I went to, like to the next guy. I was like, oh, it's noticeably faster to start
Hmm.
right now. Which did you gravitate towards any one version of the games that we played?
So I did prefer the Japanese ones just because they had unique characters and I thought that was more interesting. Like it kind of felt like, I like Kirby's and stuff. But if I really want to see a Kirby, I could just play a Kirby game. Whereas, this skull guy and this fish guy, I could be doing that on like I could only be doing that on Puyo Puyo, so I should be doing these Japanese ones. Um and I was mostly just playing the first one because it didn't seem like it was that different, except I didn't understand how or if I could get to a practice mode in 2 because there were too many other modes all in Japanese. And I was like, well, the practice mode on Puyo Puyo 1 is in the same menu location as it was on the Kirby and Mean Bean machine, so that's easy. And I was trying to go back and forth between play the game and play the practice mode to try to figure it out, but I don't know.
Mm. I should have told you that there was an actual gameplay difference with 2, and maybe you would have
Yeah. I did play
locked
some.
into it.
I
Yeah.
Yeah. I did play it, but I didn't I mean the problem with it being entirely in Japanese is that it definitely even it might have told me and I wouldn't have known. So
Yeah. I mean, I could have also like you could I'm sure look up. Maybe there's a fan
Mhm.
translation patch but there's only so many
Probably.
options. I figured you could just if we
Yeah.
had wanted to. I didn't either, but we could have
Yeah.
googled just like what are these and
Yeah.
figured that
No,
out.
I could have but I was kind of just saying like, it's probably I'm assuming these are all packaged because they're all basically the same. It's fine. I can play one. I didn't realize there was something I needed to look for, so I didn't look.
But I mean, only in Kirby's Avalanche can you hear Kirby say lines of dialogue
That's true.
in
That's true.
cutscenes
I
and
did, yeah.
say like I'm gonna kick your
Well,
ass, bitch, and stuff like that.
well, to do cutscenes, you have to beat stages, which I could not do.
Oh god. I also liked when you get to them there's like voice clips in Kirby's Avalanche, and just some of the way that they say them is quite amusing. You'll be fighting like lo 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 and la 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 in this weird strained SNES sound chip
Mhm.
tone. That was fun.
Now, I'll tell you what I do like about the sound in the Japanese version. When the slimes hit and drop down, they make puyo
Slimes.
puyo puyo sounds. That was actually what I was thinking at the top of this. I was all like, I'm not. I was like, I guess it comes because they are making that's a sound effect, and that's what the game is called. But I was just like, hey, that's the name of the game.
Yeah. It is
I
funny
liked it.
that between all three versions, the actual game itself looks exactly the same.
Yeah.
It's only the cutscenes and the menus that are different. And I mean, the Kirby one, like we said, at least kind of makes sense. It's like they kind of look like little Kirby characters.
Hmm.
And it's also in the Kirby universe, by the way. It's called Kirby's Avalanche because the game in is called Avalanche. So Kirby will say, "I'm going to challenge you to a game of Avalanche,"
Hmm.
but that never took off. There's no other Avalanche games. That didn't happen. Kirby never appeared again in the world of this franchise. That's another alternate universe we could have had. Didn't happen. If either of these had been major sellers, they might have actually continued those franchises. It is. I mean, it's sort of a shame. Maybe this is my bad this week that it is easier for me having played modern versions that I can sort of extrapolate and understand on a different level what the game is trying to do that's different from the way it was done early on. But it's
Hmm.
interesting that like, the first Tetris on NES and Game Boy is missing some features, is rougher around the edges than later Tetrises, in my opinion. Maybe not the fucking competitive nerds that you watch.
Hmm.
But I prefer later versions of Tetris, but it does seem like you still get basically what it is. And I don't know that I fully appreciated how much these early Puyo Puyo games are much more punishing and maybe are much worse ways to actually start playing the game. But many people did. I mean, this
Yeah.
was how everybody started playing it at one point.
Yeah, it's hard for me. I also need to figure out how I feel about that because there is some level of like fundamentally the problem that I'm having is I don't on some level understand what I'm trying to do. And it is fully possible that I could get a lot better at this game quite quickly if I had any clue. And if there was someone, like if I was around somebody who had this game who was good at it, just seeing what they did and then turning them and being like, "Wait, what the fuck did you do?" And then they say, "I made it look like this. Here, I'll do it again. Watch." Might have been literally all I needed. Right? And it's not like I it's not like you wouldn't have had that with this game. And it's also not like I couldn't have had that. I mean, one of the issues with a thing like this is that like I could have said, "Hold on, I don't understand." Like on some level, this is like a not read the map scenario in Mario, where it's like the puzzle is supposed to be how to make these patterns with random pieces while your opponent's interfering. The puzzle is not supposed to be what are you supposed to do in the first place. And I could have gone to look into that, but it kind of took me a little bit to realize I am totally on the wrong track with what I'm doing here. I'm doing something fundamentally wrong. And on the other hand, I do want to compare that to Tetris, where like I sort of already knew with Tetris, but I feel like it's a lot more intuitive in Tetris. Like, I feel like there are very few people with Tetris who were going to pick it up and just be like, I don't understand what I'm even trying to do. Right? It's just so obvious. Whereas here, it's a lot like, oh, I don't want it to hit the top, so I should clear out pieces. No, wrong. Do not do that type of thing. Like, huh? What do you mean don't do that? Wait, what?
Yeah,
I
you
don't
could have looked at a
understand.
YouTube, just like I'm sure there's plenty of
Yeah.
tutorials on YouTube that will
Yeah,
teach you
like I
basic
could have
stuff.
gone through and do that. I could have gone through and done that, and it wouldn't have been wrong. But it also, I don't know. I wasn't expecting to have to do that. I was expecting what I was trying to do in this puzzle game to be relatively obvious, and like I don't know. I don't know. I am potentially interested in learning what the fuck to do in this game, but like as it stands, the actual game itself did not do a good job giving me guidance. Maybe it did a good job giving other people guidance. Maybe I'm just stupid. Maybe I just have a huge blind spot. Maybe I was too stuck on how to play Tetris. And maybe other people wouldn't have had this problem, but for me I certainly did.
I do think. I mean, I think that's a hurdle when Tetris
Mhm.
is the predominant puzzle game. You come into this, and it is a little hard to. You almost have to fight against your instincts,
Yeah.
your training of what you're supposed to be
Mhm.
doing. It is a very different mindset. I didn't even look at the manuals for any of these games. You said you actually looked at one of
I
them. So did it?
I did look over it. In one of them, they kind of show you like a setup you could do, which I feel like is similar to the stairs thing, but isn't quite. Or maybe it is the stairs and they just didn't explain it that good. But I did look at it and I was like, okay, I guess. Well, let's just see what happens here. Like it didn't feel like it felt like it was a tiny little aside. Most of the how to play tips was a bunch of paragraphs that effectively said, "You need to do chains, dude. Make chains. Don't not
Yeah.
do that."
I mean, here's a comparison that people might not like, but maybe Tetris is kind of checkers, and Puyo Puyo is chess. You look at them next to each other on two boards that look the same, and you're like, oh, I kind of get it. You move pieces, take the
Mm,
pieces, but one you can kind of like figure out immediately without having to learn anything, and the other it's like, no, you gotta actually understand moves and
mm.
combos and setups.
It's interesting you say that because I would look at it and I would say
And
I
of
would not
course.
feel comfortable saying that because I kind of look at chess and I say I have a vague idea of what you should be doing with this. And I look at checkers and I say I have no fucking clue what you're supposed to do with this. You might be right that
What?
it's super, super simple. Yeah, no, but like, no, no, no. But like, yes, obviously you're supposed to push your pieces and you're supposed to jump the opponent, right? Sure. But that's like saying you're supposed to match four of the same color. It is fully, or saying you're supposed to checkmate your opponent's king. That's not really what you're doing when you're playing the game. Or maybe it is. Maybe checkers is that simple. Or maybe
It is
that's
that
just,
simple. What are you? There's
is
no
it?
deep. Yeah, have you played checkers? There's nothing
Yeah,
else to
I
do.
I play
What do you?
competitive checkers players check in. I don't know. I have played
They don't
checkers.
exist. It's like competitive Candyland players. It's like a
I have
boring
played
game for
checkers when
babies.
I was 7. I feel like you are quite possibly right, but I feel like you are assuming that is true.
It's
Do you
true.
know that? When was the last time you played checkers?
Checkers is one step up from Connect
When was the
4.
last time did you play it?
Yesterday.
Connect 4 has a lot of strategy to it.
Shut up.
It does. Legit.
Shut up.
Although I think it is solved.
Shut up. Yeah, as much as tic-tac-fucking-toe. But it's... I think
No,
it is...
tic-tac-toe is completely different. See, I think you just don't actually... You've never actually, like, thought about or
What is
engaged with
this?
these games.
No, I'm sorry. I'm going to die on the hill that checkers is not a complicated strategic game.
But do you know that? Have you looked?
I know. I've played enough of it. I know.
When did you last play it? How
a
old were
long
you?
time ago, okay? A long
Were
time
you in
ago.
elementary
happy?
school?
I don't play it all the time. Who would play it? Who plays competitive checkers?
I could say the same shit about Scrabble.
Yeah, but I think you would be...
And I'd be wrong. Listen,
right,
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying I don't know, and I feel like you don't either. I think you're just assuming that.
You're just saying there's a chance that he's wrong, therefore I must let him know that he might be wrong. It's my job to make sure he cannot get something in that could be right.
No, I'm saying I think you don't. I think you're saying you know when you don't. I don't know. That's what I think is happening here.
Okay. Fine. To me, it's comparable to Tetris in that if you say, yes, you clear lines by making lines, that it pretty much does describe what you're doing. Whereas in Puyo Puyo, you clear chains, it is more complicated. It's harder to sum up in just one line. And I think that is comparable to you jump all their pieces until they're gone versus you checkmate the king. I don't think that describes the entirety of it. I do think the former does. That's my opinion. That's my opinion. Feel free to disagree with it. Anyway, checkers and chess, different games. Puyo Puyo and Tetris, different games. Some more complicated than others, in my opinion. All right, Jesus Christ. Do you want to fucking review this game or what?
Oh, you mean like review?
Yeah, like are we done?
Not like, yeah, I guess we are.
Great, I'm about done. Here's a song.
Is it a game over or a continue? From 1 to 10, we're gonna rate it again.
Ratings.
Yeah, this is a difficult one, like I said. There's so much about this game that feels like I should like I could enjoy it in theory. But I feel like fundamentally I'm not grasping it. It feels like a lot of the mechanics seem very feel bad, even though they could be interesting. It seems like I'm not given the chance to explore what I should be doing. I don't on some level get what I'm doing when I'm playing it. I don't even know what to make of it. Is the difficult part about it, right? It feels like in terms of actually playing this game, I felt like it was fine, but not given room to breathe, so not necessarily all that enjoyable. But that could just be because I fundamentally didn't get what I was doing, and it could just be because I don't but also some of it is the game's fault potentially for not having like an in for someone like me. So it's just so hard for me. Like I want to take into account, like, because with a lot of these games, with something like Tetris, I'm not just taking into account how it feels to play Tetris. I'm also taking into account the degree to which I am excited by the idea of getting better at it. And I just don't know about that with this game, because I feel like the gameplay itself from what I saw and experienced was not particularly motivating to want to get better. But hearing people talk about it, hearing you talk about what could be, makes me think maybe I should be excited to get better. So I don't know what to even do with that. It's so hard to know what to do. In terms of like the characters and the cute little guys, I do like them. I like pretty much all of them that I saw. I think the Arla anime silly thing. I think it's a good sprite. I think the conversations and the little cutscenes are good, and the character reactions are good. Um, I think all of that is a lot of fun, and I guess I am gonna put that for on Puyo Puyo and not its original game if you're telling me there's just a lot more Puyo Puyos and these characters are just Puyo Puyo characters. I do like the Puyo Puyos themselves. I do like the sounds they make. Um, there is something aesthetically very engaging about the game, even if it's difficult for me to get into the gameplay, which is always something that I have to also kind of suss out, like to what degree can I enjoy the aesthetics if I'm very focused in on the strategy? And in a game like this, I feel like I'm being asked to focus on the strategy and not the aesthetics, even though they are a big part of it. Um, so all of that being said, yeah, it's a difficult game. I think I'm gonna give Puyo Puyo for now, I think I'm gonna give it a tentative 7.0 out of 10. With, like, the understanding that this could end up being something that I completely revise if I go, like, not train, but find someone to train me in it. Like, find a person to explain it to me. I don't know, but I'm going with 7.0.
May God have mercy upon whoever that person is. That's higher than I thought you were going to go, to be honest. But yeah, I am I'm not as baffled by this game as you, but I have more experience with it in later iterations. I do still struggle with it. I do find it requires a level of determination and effort that Tetris does not. And I personally, what I enjoy about Tetris is that I can kind of get into a flow state and zone out and just get into a rhythm where I'm not thinking that much consciously, where am just reacting and kind of feeling like I am the Tetris blocks. And it's much harder for me to do that in Puyo Puyo. I'm just simply not capable of achieving that level of it because I'm not as good at it, and I'm constantly being like, okay, purple is there, let me put a red there, okay, let me get a red, let me get a red, let me get a red, no red, okay, maybe I'll do a green, okay, the purple, oh, I could make that purple fall, but I don't want to do it yet, I'm going to wait, I'm going to set that up for something else, and sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't, and when it kind of gets faster, especially in these early games, it is pretty punishing. I do like Puyo Puyo, but again, it requires you to really learn it, which is not necessarily a bad thing. And I think, in contrast to Tetris, it's good because if it was as straightforward as Tetris was, then there wouldn't be as much of a point. There's a reason they work well together in a package, just because they complement each other. They are two different things. So I'm glad that it exists and I like it, but the most I've ever enjoyed it is in a package with a different game. And by itself, it is hard for me to fully embrace it. And I do think this is an instance where I'm more rating this based on my personal engagement and how I enjoy it versus how good of a game I actually think it is. Like, I think it's a perfectly good puzzle game, and I get the appeal. I think it's earned its place as being a well-known puzzle game that people play. But for me, we kind of come from slightly different directions, but I think we end up at the same place. I'm also going to give it a 7.
Okay. Yeah, like, you said you were surprised, and coming into this episode, my thoughts on this game were that in my head, I was thinking, based solely on what I did, I want to rate it much, much lower than that. But I feel like there's something here I'm not getting, and I will raise my score based on what John answers when I talk to him about, like, what the hell would a good game, like, what the hell would it look like if I knew what I was doing? So I did partially get to that 7 based on your feedback.
Yeah, I thought you were going to be somewhere in the 6s.
Yeah, I thought about it. I mean, the characters also help, honestly. That does push it up a lot. Good little guys is important.
I mean, that
And
is
you
a
know,
difference, right? But like Tetris, you're
yeah.
just looking at blocks.
Yeah, like even in NES Tetris, you know what? If you just put like a silly anime character over to the side and like every time you got a Tetris, they did like an excited pose, and every time you were like more than halfway up the board, they looked nervous, that'd be a massive bump.
Sure.
It matters.
Sure, that's what we think about Puyo Puyo, but what about people back in the day? Retro Review Corner.
Retro Review Corner.
Now, as I said, I don't have reviews, English reviews for Puyo Puyo, so we're going to be looking at some reviews of the Mean Bean Machine and Kirby's Avalanche. This one comes from Computer and Video Games Magazine, and the verdict here from reviewer Amanda Tipping, whose photo they put in the magazine, which is unusual, said, Mean Bean Machine is as addictive and frustrating as the game it's based on, that famous puzzler Tetris. The beans are a lot cuter than a bunch of bricks, and you also have to compete against the computer, which plays on a screen next to you. This makes the game even more difficult to complete. The graphics are bright and colorful, although not too adventurous, but it's all good, obsessive fun. Congratulations to anyone who hasn't gnawed away all their nails by the time they finish this. Not really sure what that means. I guess that it makes you nervous or tense to play.
Yeah, high anxiety? I don't know.
But they gave it a 90 out of 100, so they were big fans. And here is another one from GamePro. And GamePro said, despite a lot of similarities to Columns, Tetris, and other classic puzzlers, this game is no has-been. The offensive strategy makes it especially fun. Offensive strategy, it's not like making jokes.
Right.
Makes it especially fun when playing against a friend. Games of this kind seem few and far between for the Genesis, so fans of this genre should find Mean Bean Machine a match made in heaven. So I guess they were kind of hurting for puzzle games. Maybe we, I don't know. I suspect, would it have mattered if we tried playing against each other? Maybe, because then you could have seen some of what I was doing and maybe could have gotten something out of it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it would have refuted my idea about like getting locked out, or maybe it wouldn't have mattered because there would have been too big of a skill differential. I think that I would get more. I would think I would get less out of trying to play against you because it would be very difficult for me to watch what you were doing while also figuring out what the fuck I should do. I think I would get more out of watching you play and having you narrate, right? Like having you say, okay, I'm setting this up because I want to do that. Okay, I'm not going to do this yet. Okay, I don't want to pull the trigger. Oh, I want to pull the trigger now because see, he's doing that, right? Like, I think that would help me a lot more.
Yeah. I would recommend a YouTube video because I don't think my narration would be that helpful. I never looked at the other person's screen. I'm not reacting to what they're doing other than sending me garbage.
So then you also wouldn't be able to learn from someone playing against you because you wouldn't see what they were doing.
I might be able to do it if I knew if it was a human being and I cared to watch their screen. I just never I cared to look over there because I was just thought it won't affect me. Probably at my skill level, I don't really care.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of reviews on the Kirby side, which, by the way, in Europe, the game was called Kirby's Ghost Trap. Don't know why.
Okay. I guess they're ghosts coming down instead of Puyos or boulders.
Hard to say. This Hyper magazine says Kirby's Ghost Trap seems a rather benign game at first, but it is slyly addictive. Like Tetris, if you play it before going to bed, the minute you close your eyes, it will haunt you. Only instead of blocks, you'll see colored blobs staring at you with frightened eyes. Terrifying. And slightly more negative from Computer Video Games. This person says, and this is a person who's actually familiar with the original Puyo Puyo. This is, at this point, again, like 4 years after that game, a couple years after Mean Bean Machine. So people who are writing for video games would be aware of these things. Said, Puyo has always been an addictive, fun puzzler, but it has staled a bit with time. The gameplay doesn't seem as fine-tuned as more recent combo-heavy puzzlers, namely Paneled Upon, soon to be released over here as Tetris Blast. We reckon you ought to wait for that. I'm not sure if Panel to I think that's the same thing as Tetris Attack / Pokemon Puzzle League. I could be wrong about that, but that's another similar take on the genre that I do like better, but it's got a similar thing where you can set up chains of blocks that fall, but it's a little different. You've played Pokemon Puzzle League, haven't you?
I have not.
Really? We never played that ever?
I don't think so.
I
Wait, like the
swear,
two of us?
I feel like at one point, because it's an N64 game, I feel like at one point I brought that on a
Mhm.
virtual console with you and maybe another friend, and we played it. Because Pokemon,
Huh.
it's from the cartoon, like they use all the clips of Ash and Team Rocket and stuff.
I do sort of remember a game with Pokemon clips that I might have played with you, so maybe I did.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know.
it's similar, but they don't fall. The blocks actually come up from the bottom, and you
Mm.
can swap them like all over the place, not just when they're falling. You can constantly be swapping everything, so you have more control over every little detail of it, which maybe you would like better. I like it better. All right. Before we go, we will answer some viewer questions and feedback in an MMO.
Minor mail opening.
Handful of comments this week. We got Solomon Still the Best here, our best friend, who says, "Hey guys, thanks again for making these podcasts. Every time your intro song kicks in, I get a big smile on my face. Been listening to some of your Patreon-only episodes. Really looking forward to more M. Night videos. You teased us with a YTM&D episode one day, so here's looking forward to that too." And then Solomon has some comments on Donkey Kong Country. Says Donkey Kong Country 1 and 2 are both way better than they have any right to be. Rare's modus operandi seemed to be to take whatever was making a buttload of money and then reproduce and improve upon it. The market was oversaturated with mascot platformers, and then here comes Rare releasing a game that is both extremely well designed and graphically ahead of its time. This is one of the few games my dad got for me, who hated the fact I spent so much time playing video games. I was supposed to go to a week-long summer computer programming event, but I fell ill and couldn't attend, and I was really bummed. I asked my dad if he would try to rent this game for me from Blockbuster, and to my shock, he went and did it. This is also the first game I ever bought the soundtrack for. Many fond memories tied into DKC. One day I need to sit down and play the third game, but every time I try, I find it just lacking in something. Your Donkey Kong rap song was actually pretty good. More of that, please. Oh, and I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on Rhythm Heaven.
Pretty good. I personally am of the opinion
Shut
that
up.
your raps are usually at your best.
Shut up. I don't want to hear anything from you.
I'm telling you the truth. I'm trying to be nice since you were upset when I wasn't nice.
Yeah.
I do think your raps are usually top tier.
Great. Yeah, I mean, I like Rhythm Heaven. I don't know when we'll get to that. Maybe at some point. The first Rhythm Heaven only released in Japan is on the Game Boy Advance. So there's a chance that we could get to that at some point. And appreciate you continuing to plug our Patreon for us, Solomon. That helps. Donkey Kong Country also good. Let's see. Avatar Protocol chimed in with some thoughts on Quake.
Still here?
Says Quake came out at roughly the same time as Duke Nukem 3D, and you were either Team Quake or Team Duke. I was Team Duke.
Whoa.
Everyone who was Team Quake loved it for the 3D engine, but Duke just looked better. It's interesting that Jonathan talked about this in that early 3D was primitive and didn't look as good, like it didn't age well. This was exactly the case even back then. To me, Quake is the brown game. Everywhere you look, you see brown, brown yellow, brown gray. There's a bit of red, and if you're really lucky, you might see some brown blue. The review you read out about how you're just a gun is also a lazy problem in Quake. Most guns in Duke 3D show Duke's hand. Duke talks, and he's shining on the enemy all the time. The game is vibrant, there's color everywhere. Every episode in Duke also finishes with a nasty boss and a cutscene. It wasn't real 3D, but who cares? Quake 2 tried to fix the color problem, but I think most of the other problems that Quake suffered from were still there, and it wasn't a breakout game like Quake 1 was. It wasn't until Unreal Tournament, Half-Life, and Counter-Strike that first-person shooters really started waking up to modern standards. We do not have, I don't really have a place right now for Duke Nukem 3D, but if that's
Sounds like
something
maybe we want
people,
one.
if people think we should be playing that for context,
Yeah, I mean,
let us know.
listen, I saying it looks vibrant and colorful instead of brown is making me interested.
Yeah, I have played Duke Nukem Forever, but that's the only one I've played. But Duke Nukem is iconic. I mean, that's a video game guy that at some point we should probably throw on. I don't know if it'll be sooner or later.
I do know that guy.
Yeah, Quake is brown. Kind of in a way, a precursor to the 2000s era of every game being brown that we've thankfully escaped from. I would say to me it's more gray in my mind, but you know.
You mean the 2000s one? Or
No, Quake.
Oh,
Quake.
really? Quake? Yeah, I guess. Brown felt on the nose, but I guess there is a lot of gray too. Yeah, it's so muted and dirty and ugly is what it is.
There's a lot of like castle stone walls and stuff.
Mhm.
But I mean, like
True.
for me, it fits what it's going for. It accomplishes what it's trying to do.
Yeah.
Anyway,
That's not wrong.
Avatar Particle also says, because last week we mentioned that we got banned on TikTok, says the TikTok thing is a blessing. They were doing you a favor, and thought that news could have been its own video. Well, we don't do bonus videos like that on here, but no updates there. I continue to try to reach support, and the only responses that you get are AI generated. So,
Of course.
It's very difficult to reach an actual human being on TikTok, if possible at all.
Banned by the AI.
Yeah. We got another response from Portia Kern, who maybe is taking the snark thing too far. We're in a snark war now with our friend Portia Kern, who wrote, subject line, I may have lost my cool. Right. Sorry about flying off the handle in my previous email. It's just hard to keep emotions in check when you're getting snark from a man with a head like Mickey Mouse and a rejected extra from the 2007 TV show Cavemen, one of the worst received shows of all time, inspired by one of the best Geico advertising campaigns of all time. I wish I had something to contribute this week, but honestly, I was just pleased with my comparisons and wanted to get them on the record. I also considered making a comparison to a hairier Jorge Masvidal, but I wasn't sure if you knew who he was. Toodles, Portia Kern. Yeah, I don't know who that is.
Yeah, I don't know either, but goddamn, going for the Mickey Mouse is kind of a low blow, I think. That might be a little too far.
No, that's really, that's like, are you kidding me? It's nothing I haven't heard since I was 6. That doesn't do anything to me anymore. I mean, yours had way more detail. I feel like you should be more offended by yours.
Oh, no, I mean, those guys are just like some of my friends.
Yeah. On Doughboys, they open every show with they roast. So listeners write in a roast for one of the co-hosts. We're not doing that. So don't write more roasts. We're not going to read them. That's not what this is. From now on, just your thoughts on video games, please. Well, Portia will not be reading another of your emails unless you have something to say about video games. All right. That's everything I've got this week. Anything you need to say about Puyo Puyo before we go?
Puyo's out. Puyo?
No, we're not. It's not. I still have to plug our show.
Oh, you?
It's
Okay,
not
right.
over.
I don't have anything to say.
Cool. That became very apparent very quickly. If you like the show, follow, like, and subscribe. Find us on social media in the description below. Tell your friends, rate us on iTunes, or contribute to the show on Patreon to become a pro gamer today for $5 a month. You get access to some of our videos early on, just like the couple I mentioned at the top of the show, plus bonus weekly audio episodes where we talk about things besides video games. This week, it's the final week of Shyamalagast, and we will be covering Shyamalan's Signs. So that's something for Solomon and others to look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
Solomon's still the best, not Bomb Solomon, different person. Next week on the main show, it'll be Master of Orion. Another strategy game, another 4X PC strategy game. in the vein of Civilization, which at least one person
Yes.
suggested that we check out.
I was going to say, this is by request, I believe.
Yeah, I may have, whether it was on the list already and it's just been moved up the list, doesn't matter. We appreciate input and feedback, and that's what's happening. So we're doing another 4X game next week, keeping things fresh with a variety of genres. Stay tuned, bone up on your Master of Orion if you want to be ready for that episode. And leave a comment or write an email to badwithgamespodcast@gmail.com with any of your own thoughts and feedback. And until next time, gamers and Puyo Puyo's out.